Now moving on to our case study presentation on the topic ADR, the new era. To talk about this, I would like to invite on stage Dr. Moksha Kalyanram Abhiramula, Advocate at La Mintage Dispute Resolution Hub LLP, who's also our dispute resolutioner partner. Thank you. Have a huge round of applause, everyone, for Dr. Moksha.
Okay. Before the presentation picks up, just wanted to say, like, alternative dispute resolutions has taken a big leap in the legal segment. Everyone talks about it. And everyone uses arbitration, mediation, conciliation, etc., etc. Good area of practice. But what I personally perceive is this. Why is ADR picking up? Any reason? Why is ADR picking up? If I simply put it, how fast can a civil court give final judgment to any civil case, let alone your legal succession certificates? Let alone legal succession certificates, how fast can a standalone civil court give a final judgment? Ideally 5 years. Thanks to the number of litigations and population in the country, right? This is a fundamental reason why ADR has taken the light of the day. Now, having said this, what could be the expectation of the litigant from ADR? Quick resolution. We are not saying that litigants can see resolution in, this is about us. You keep browsing that, I'll be giving the voice for it. But then, the focus of the litigant is a quick resolution. The focus of the counsels is satisfied client. You can correct me if I'm wrong. The focus of the client is quick resolution. If I am supposed to recover some amount, I expect that recovery somewhere to happen in 2 years, if not more than that. Now, why they have come to ADR? Because in 2 years an award comes. Now, this award can be executed in the regular execution petition norm. That's the order of the day. But then, the second reason why ADRs have picked up is the voice which the litigant wants to be heard is actually heard in the form of a mediation. Litigant is more interested that the person who is deciding the case hears their voice or hears their actual grievance. Now, when this is it, the most relevant part which we see is the mediation, where we are expected to see the entire downpour from the client, emotion as well as factual as well as legal. Now, all this is evaluated on both parties, and in mediation we come up with a solution which is acceptable to both parties. Mediation becomes a successful option. We end a mediation with a settlement agreement. Many a times mediation fails because settlement does not happen. Mediation shifts to arbitration. Now, having gone to arbitration, it's somewhere you have to fall on which side. So you go by the facts, or you see the legal representation, and then you come up with something called an award. This is where arbitration comes in. Now, what has happened in the new era? One is the speed which we are looking at. Second is the technology which we are looking at. Third is what is the reliance which we have on the usage of the technology. Now, let me give a small review. This is the most common areas where we see an arbitration clause coming up. Every shareholder agreement today will have an arbitration clause. Most interesting thing in this arbitration clauses, these are standard recitals. And every standard recital is prone for heavy interpretation. And this heavy interpretation is left with our intellectual thoughts. The focus of us to our client is to see that we get the maximum benefit whatsoever possible. The focus of the litigant is more on the emotional front rather than a financial and legal front. This is the first gap which we have as a responsibility to work on. We are supposed to remove the emotional part, guide our litigants or the clientele properly and say, look, these are the facts of your case. This is the present legal scenario. We are expecting few changes and this is what can happen. So in the best of interest of the survival of the company, these are the suggested areas where we have to come to final conclusion. Now, if we are advocating this to our clients, our client is 90% convinced and is aware of what could be the expected output of an ADR. This is our first responsibility. Understand the factual and legal scenario, explore the flaws in the agreement of our client, guide them that in our next arrangements we have to see that this is addressed, and this is what can factually come out of in this particular litigation. Once this is done, the ADR process kicks in and it actually happens faster because we have all given the ground reality before, like, look, this is what the whole thing comes on. I'll share you a small case where these were the issues which in any SHA is there. These are the common recitals which we're talking about. I'm only going to touch base upon a minority shareholder interest which was picked up in a particular case. This is the point which I would try to explore upon. In the shareholder agreement, whenever you have a minority interest issue, what is the focal area? Focal area relies upon a restriction on sale of any asset or part of asset. And whenever an investor who has done a small time investment in a company and the company is growing does not accept the point that any spin-off or a sale of a small product or a sale of a small activity in the company will hit his investment value. It's very difficult to convince them. Why? Because they have got emotionally attached with the company, or they feel that once this product or this leg is sold, price drastically comes down, value in the company drastically comes down. We will definitely do some max on it, but then what is required to convince the client that the spin-off or this asset would be favorable to him? Because we, as their counsel, if we say that spin-off is beneficial to you, what is the threat which we are going to have? Immediately our client may perceive that we have changed the side. Correct? So we have to strategically evaluate, give reasons, and beyond reasonable calculations, we have to explain to the client what is the most required scenario for the execution of the spin-off or sale of that product line. How do we do this? One, numbers, because numbers don't lie. Two, future prospects, how the company will look with this product, how the company can look without this product. We can take support of other people who are in that segment or subject matter experts. That's the second way. Third and most important thing, give a complete review of the legal scenarios that exist for that particular product vis-a-vis the company as a whole. Once these three options are evaluated and explained to the client, client is bound to take an informed, clear decision which will help the process to complete faster. What is missing is somewhere we don't address any of these three legs. We either don't address the legal review part, we don't address the mathematical part, we don't address the future value part. Any of this is missing, we will have a hustle or rupture with the client. But when these are addressed, documented properly, that is where we have a client listening to us, sees our guidance, takes an informed decision, comes back to us time and again. And this is supposed to be communicated to the arbitrator or the mediators who are doing it. Now, when you are able to communicate this fact to the mediator or the arbitrator, they channelize the discussion or they channelize the proceedings in that direction so that both the parties get beneficial interest derived. This is the focus. Now, what we did for this was this matter was settled. Why it was settled? It was settled because we said, look, when you spin off this particular product, this product actually gives a cash inflow now. We are in need for a cash inflow. Now this is where we say, now this was a mediated. Originally it came for arbitration, but it ended up in mediation. So there is a possibility always. Mediation will shift to arbitration, again will come back to mediation. Because when scores are clear, when you are communicating to both the litigants that these are the issues, and it boils down to 2 points, and people are willing to take a decision. Today we are not, people have, over a period of time in business, initially they may have that emotional focus. But as they grow in business, if they are guided properly, emotions go down, professional decisions are taken, corporates grow. This is where we have been focusing on and saying that, okay, dispute resolution out of courts is a better option than trying to fight in the courts. For 2 reasons. 1, the voice is heard properly. 2, alternatives are explored with interest. 3, people are allowed to participate and willingly take a decision. That's the reason why I think the new era of arbitration, ADR has taken a pickup. Now, there was a question which was asked. In fact, it will be asked to every person available over here. What would be the impact of AI in arbitration, or AI in mediation, or AI in dispute resolution? One good thing which I see is AI helps us rewrite our petitions well. We get a beautiful language to represent. We get a beautiful pointers to represent, but facts don't change. Once our facts are clear, for writing the award or for writing the settlement agreement, we can use AI. That will give us a better option. But for actually discussing upon the facts, it doesn't work. But to analyze the future aspects or future business tendencies, AI is a beautiful tool. There are many softwares that are available which will help us to understand the product line's performance possible in future. This will help us to take a decision and work on with the client and come up with a solution. This is what I thought I would share from my side. There is one point which I would try to say on my personal front. We at Dispute Resolution Hub are open for empanelments. We are looking to onboard arbitrators. We are looking to onboard mediators. We're also looking to onboard advocates on our platform. It's a platform where we exclusively help clients to come to amicable solutions. It's a technology, we are using technology where we give a platform where people discuss, it is recorded, documented. The entire meeting is having a video audio recording, and we synthesize it. We come up with the minutes that is shared across to every stakeholder. And finally, the decisions whatsoever are recorded and they are taken over. Now, anyone would be interested to empanel, we are here for 2 days. You can get in touch with us. This is our service area. Any questions? I think I'm done. That's fine. I hope so.
Anybody, any questions? I think, sir, you very well explained everything and left no chance for anyone to have any questions. So,
Yes, sir, please.
I have no question. In fact, I just wanted to share my personal experience dealing with the ADR.
Please, sir.
That the purpose for which the ADR was enacted, to get a speedy order from the appropriate court or appropriate authority, is getting frustrated. If you see the current trend of these arbitrators, something like the civil courts, tarikh pe tarikh, and nothing happens over there. I'm just sharing my personal experience dealing with a lot of ADR matters in Mumbai, where a lot of our senior advocates or the retired judges have been appointed as arbitrator. Sometime it happens, even I have moved to the Bombay High Court seeking the timeline that award is to be passed. The court has even given the direction of, let's say, 6 months time, sometime 6 weeks times. But the fact is that for the one or the other reason, award are not passed in 3 months time or 6 months time or 1 year time. Something likely to be a civil court of taking a time of the 5 year or 7 year, the ADR is not making much difference into that. I want to say on you.
Honestly speaking, I also echo the voice with you. But then, this is a concern which is in the ADR where couple of people, I can say the couple has a bigger number, but the couple of people who are appointed as arbitrators prefer to give a date. We can technically see that they are not interested in the proceedings, but then the legislation is silent on this particular point. You can't change the arbitrator just like that. In fact, it's not that easy. From my point of view, we only pray that we don't fall in the hands of such arbitrators. But one option that we can do is, since an arbitration is in progress, we can suggest with the other side counsels and say that, hey, look, there is a possibility of mediation. Let's explore. Unless both the counsels are willing for, because I have seen a scenario where both the counsels have agreed fees has gone up. Both the counsels have agreed date is given. It's like that. Now, both the counsels agree and they come up to certain points of time and say, okay, these are the points where we can settle off, square off the issue and mediate and close. I think that would be a solution in such type of scenarios. I'm not saying it is not happening. It's definitely happening. But when we are stuck somewhere, it's a deadlock. When there is a deadlock, the easy way to open it is shift it to mediation and see that we explore. See, at the end of the day, when both the advocates sit together, it's not difficult to convince the client. It's not difficult. We can convince on both the sides. When we could take the privilege of convincing the judges and Supreme Court judges, can't we convince our own counsel, our own clients? Quite possible. Somewhere we are not also exploring. That's what I intend to say. And the easiest way or easiest solution for the problem which you and I are facing, we are in the same boat, it is to help and shift it to a mediation.
No, I'm also saying that even before the arbitrator is appointed, a lot of time is being wasted for the appointment of the arbitrator. The fact is that in some of the agreements that we have signed, both the parties have agreed for a particular arbitrator in case of the dispute or differences arise between the parties. But when the difference arises after 2 years, after 3 years of the signing of the contract, the one of the party moves to the court that, to have the appointment of the another arbitrator for that matter. There itself, 6 months time or the year time is being wasted even for the appointment of the arbitrator, because one party is agreeing, other party is opposing, and then it goes on, and a lot of time is being, whereas in the agreement itself, it is already named Mr. XYZ. In some of the cases, I remember having been, both the party agreed for Mr. X, that Mr. X would be the arbitrator in case of any difference and the dispute arises between the parties. But at the later date, when the actual differences arises, one of the party moved to the court for the appointment of another advocate, and a lot of time is being wasted even into that.
I'll address this issue,
Thanks.
sir. When the agreement is signed, people are in good terms. People like each other. You want to do business together forever. That's the attitude when you sign the agreement. And many a times people don't keep the copies also. But when a difference comes, difference is in everything. The best way is when you are writing 90% of the agreements are driven by Google or AI. If these agreements are written professionally and these agreements have a scenarios where instead of writing the name of the person, we write the qualification of the person. I have seen agreements which are related to construction management. They talk about or they name a person. The person has zero knowledge about construction management. This person gives an arbitration award. That award is set aside. The mistake is we wanted to write someone's name. Rather than writing someone's name at the time when the agreements are being written, You quantify the personality who can be an arbitrator. You quantify the personality who can be a mediator. Once this is done in the agreement level, you have actually helped the client to see a forecasted dispute that never arises. Because you know that this kind of qualification, this kind of experience, this kind of expertise, you are going to choose as arbitrator. At that point of time, it is difficult for court to appoint also that such person. Because immediately when you go to court, file a section 11 petition, what would be the result? Retired judge so-and-so, see from the list. Appoint. Now when I have such and such clause, I would immediately say, sir, this appointment does not adhere to my conditions. You please explore. Now court will also take a time and you will get an arbitrator who is also aware that he is chosen by some selection. Now the selection is something which current agreement, I have seen a couple of agreements being written like that, but this agreements must come, this type of clauses must come in every agreement so that it becomes easier to address the issue. I think I have addressed the issue, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a great session. Please, everyone, have a huge round of applause for Dr. Moksh.